However, I did not start the recording on time, so I wanted to go back and capture the first couple of slides that I missed on the recording so it can be shared with all of you. Listed here are the topics that we'll cover tonight. So we'll cover roles and responsibilities of various people involved in the leadership of our program. Talk about 4-H meetings and how to make them a little more exciting and to make sure that the meetings are effective for all who are involved. We'll have some ideas on icebreakers and games that can be included in your meetings. We'll go over youth protection standards, financial management. We'll talk about fundraising and the logistics that go with that as in the club. And we'll also provide some ideas that can be utilized in your club for fundraising. We'll go over some social media use. I'll provide an update on the parameters of regarding COVID-19 from the agency and program perspective. Give you a few 4-H highlights and then end with some resources. When we talk about roles and responsibilities, I have 4 listed up there at the top, which are county agents, club managers, project leaders, and youth leaders. And that's not to say that this is all of them. You know, there's other titles that could go along with having a role and responsibility within a 4-H club or group. But county agents, we start with them. They have the responsibility of the oversight for the 4-H program in their assigned respective county. So when you have questions and things that you want to know more about the 4-H program, always go to your county agents first. Now, within that, saying that, that's going to, I say county agents, it's going to depend on where you live, what your county is. There may be more than one agent that you might work with. And so some of our larger counties are going to have more agents. And so, but please know that the line of communication is you start with your county agent. Club managers, that is the individual or individuals who serve as a coordinator for all the team members and provide general guidance to the team members within that respective club or group. Club managers, you can also have assistant club managers so that everybody is not so one person is not having to do everything themselves. Sometimes in clubs, they'll have various assistant club managers or other volunteers who will take on roles and responsibilities to help offset some of the time that one person is doing everything. And I know I've seen before where officer within the club an adult has been assigned to that officer so that they have that one direct person that youth officer may work with. And so maybe somebody who's really good with finances and budgeting, and that person can help the treasurer and be one of the adults who really serves in that role, because that is a very important role to make sure that we are fiscally responsible. We have project leaders. So those leaders are going to provide structured learning experiences or personal guidance and counseling for members who enrolled in that specific project. We'll have shooting sports coaches. We'll have food challenge leaders or food and nutrition leaders, and we'll have STEM leaders. We have quite a few. Robotics is very big in District 9, so we have quite a few adult volunteers who have an interest in robotics, and so they'll really work with that group of kids. And so we've got a lot of opportunities for people to serve in various roles within our club to help our youth learn and grow through their experiences. And then we have our youth leaders. So these are going to typically be our club officers, and they play an important role in the 4-H leadership team, because this is, we're here for the kids. This is their club. And so our officers are elected each year, and their responsibility is to work with the club and any executive committee to involve all members in the club and work with everybody to provide a great opportunity. So there may be youth leaders who you might have team leaders. Also, I've seen where a team leader might be assigned to a younger kid, kind of be a mentor to them. Clubs will have different committees that they may have. One club may have a specific refreshment committee or a recreation committee, or someone who works specifically more focusing on the livestock in the things. So the way the club is made up can vary greatly and really fit the needs of that group that's involved within the club. work with our project leaders and our club managers, and ultimately you all work with your local county extension agents. So now we want to get into talking about our 4-H club meetings. And a 4-H meeting, it should be fun. It should be something that everybody wants to come to and that they want to come back to. And I thoroughly enjoyed meetings as a kid when I was in 4-H. And a lot of times the club meeting is something that it can really kind of make or break whether or not somebody comes back and or continues on with our program. And so we've got to think about things as we're getting ready for the meeting to really capture our audiences. And one of the first things is meetings need to be thought out. You know, we can't just go in and throw in an agenda together the 5 minutes before the meeting and, you know, telling the kids like, oh, here's what we're going to do. And then the project, and then the club manager or the adult leader leading it, there's a planning time. Y'all can plan earlier throughout the year. And especially now that we do a lot of things virtually, you can have a quick meeting to outline what a club meeting is going to look like, and that you're covering, everything that needs to be covered during that meeting. And then next, the meetings need to be worth the members' and parents' time.
Like I said, we want it to be, if they're going to drive a distance, we want it to be worth their time to drive that distance, possibly be in that traffic, and then also getting back home, getting everybody ready for the next day, and taking care of all the things that need to be taken care of at home, whether it's feeding animals, getting everybody else in the family taken care of, and getting homework done, and all of that. So we also want the meetings to be informative. We got to provide good quality information. We don't want to go to a meeting. They're always the worst when we show up and it's like, okay, we're just going to give you a list of announcements. No, it needs to be more than that. It's got to have some substance to it, something to work with, and for people to want to come back. And a lot of times, I've heard numerous times over the years, well, I wanted to join 4-H and I went to the club meeting, and of course I always went to the first one that's going to be hectic anyway, right? Because that's just the nature of the beast, that the first one, you're getting kicked off for the year and getting everybody acclimated, and so sometimes those tend to be a little crazy. And then they don't want to go back because, they may not have felt welcomed. Maybe they didn't feel like they got enough information out of it. And then the next thing is the meetings need to be youth-led. It's their club. We're here for them. And, we want them to have a good experience. And we want them to gain those skills to move on. And as whatever path they take after they graduate from high school, we want them to have those leadership skills to be in meetings, lead meetings, take on management roles and jobs, and whatever that may be. Whatever that may be. And so that's extremely important that the youth have that ability to have the initiative to lead their meetings, and for it to be their ideas as well. So I don't know, hopefully everybody has not seen this. Hopefully you have, hopefully you haven't. But we do have a handy little sheet that talks about the 4 parts of a 4-H meeting. And we have the inspiration, the business, the program, and then the recreation. So I'm going to click on this link, and hopefully it'll open up and you guys can see it. Jerry, can y'all see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. So this is a page that is on our state website. And what I really like about it is, if y'all see right up here, the Enhancing the Club Experience, we have a whole slew of things on our website that I'll show you that link in case y'all haven't been that far yet on it. But it has things to help you plan out your meetings, to give you ideas. And I like this because this is also really nice to give to the kids for them to help plan out their meeting and what they want to do within it. So their inspiration, nothing long on the beginning. Get everybody inspired, get them energized. Let's start talking, do our call to order. We do our pledges, inspiration. Sometimes it's just a quote. something quick and simple to get everybody going, and then icebreakers. I do have a couple of slides on icebreakers. To me, these were some of the best things that we did. One thing I really like about the icebreakers is it allows for a lot of our kids who may be timid or a little bit unsure of themselves and not ready to speak before a group. It's always kind of nice to let them have the ability to stand up at the club, say who they are, or on a virtual meeting, say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and my favorite color is such and such. And maybe, maybe start out something small and simple, and then over the course of the year progress into them doing something longer. And that's just a simple one. There's a ton of other things that you can do to really get the kids, to get everybody involved in the meeting. And that's another thing I like about the icebreakers, is it allows everybody to get involved. Then we get into the business parts. Sometimes it may be more than 20 minutes. Typically after that, we start to lose them depending on the discussion. And that's one thing, I know that one thing that is everybody's least favorite thing is Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure. Probably because half the people it's hard and you don't really understand it. I wasn't really much into it until I worked with some kids. The Leaders for Life, side note, the Leaders for Life program, we do have a program that focuses on parliamentary procedure. We haven't had anybody in District 9 do it in a while, so if you're looking for something like that, we do have that possibility for kids to focus on that, and I like it because it really helps them learn about how a meeting should be ran and how it should be ran effectively. And it's really awesome to see the kids when they go to another meeting, whether it's a school meeting or somewhere else, and then they come back and tell you they didn't run their meeting correctly, they didn't adjourn it correctly, they didn't do the motions right. So it's kind of a feel-good moment to be like, oh, they're learning something. They're really taking it in. So parliamentary procedure is really important with this. So we got 15 to 20 minutes. They can do a roll call, introduction of guests, new members. Everybody kind of handles that a little bit different as far as whether they do always introduce the new members. Sometimes they may not be ready to be introduced yet, or the guests. But if you have a guest speaker, you always want to make sure you introduce them, and always make sure you get their titles correctly, as well as their name. So that's a great way to also get the kids to speak before the group, before their club, is to introduce the guest speakers and read a little bio about them. The reading and approval of minutes. Hopefully there's minutes. Hopefully the last meeting they took minutes and wrote them down. We do, within our stuff on the website, there are some helpful things that we can help guide you and provide you with for the youth to take minutes. I know it's hard for them to sometimes be focused. Sometimes you may have a really young club, and for them to sit there and take minutes for 30 minutes is kind of strenuous on them. So there's ways to give them just basically like a cheat sheet of taking minutes where they can write down the motion and what it was, and then did it pass or did it fail? And starting out small and then progressing on there. Activity reports. So any reports. Let's see, the activity section of the meeting is going to be one of the best places to involve many different members in the meeting. Club managers and presidents should try to think of every club and county or district activity that any member has participated in. So hopefully this year we're going to get to do lots of awesome things since we didn't get to do as much this past 6 months. But we're really looking forward, and we're planning to move ahead with all of our events and activities as we're going throughout the year. So, allowing kids to say what they've been involved in. Sometimes for some of the kids, they never have any idea what else is out there if they didn't hear it from a friend, and if they didn't hear it at their 4-H club meeting. I know sometimes it's hard. We're inundated with emails all day long and whatnot, but getting to those 4-H emails and reading those, following Facebook pages, the newsletters, the blog, that kind of stuff, really great things to be able to highlight what's been going on in the county and the district and the state. Your officer reports, so they'll give their reports, the treasurer, if the council delegate has a report, and then the secretary will also talk about any correspondence that may have been received. So if there were any thank you notes or acknowledgments that need to be made. Committee reports, that's going to vary from club to club. You may not have committees, and that's fine. One of your committees, it may seriously be a refreshment committee. It may be a recreation committee, and that's great. Then again, if you don't have them, that's not that big of a deal. Maybe something you want to look to and adding in to provide more opportunities for kids. And then the club manager, and the leader reports, this is a great opportunity for y'all to give your reports. And I can kind of think of if a project leader is like a shooting sports coach is going to give an update on a match or some upcoming events or trainings that are coming up, that'd be a great best opportunity for them to provide that information. Unfinished business, so that is going to be anything that was not handled and conducted and finalized at the last meeting. So if you talked about it and you left it unfinished and you didn't take a vote and maybe needed more information, let's say there was a Christmas parade coming up and the group was deciding whether or not to do a float, they may not have enough information. Like the date may not be available, the location, which may make a huge difference, especially the date and when and whether or not they'll be able to do it. So you may table that till the next meeting so it can be discussed at a later time. I notice a lot of times with unfinished business, people put it as old business. That's kind of the term that most people use. It really is unfinished because we haven't finished it yet. And a lot of times people try to put announcements there, but this really is things that we have not finished talking about. Then we get into new business. So as you know, that's new, something that just came up, and could be election of officers, any bylaw amendments, your club budget approval, which is very important. That should be taking place, and then observing special events or anything specific to the club. So that's where you see the business can take 15 to 20 minutes. Then you have the program, and this is where kids can also get really involved. Maybe they demonstrate something that they're doing in their project. Some of the counties have certain awards in which the kids may need to give a presentation to a club or to another group, and so this will be a great time for them to present that. You may have a guest speaker. You might work on a community service project. And guest speakers are always great. A lot of times, just know if you're going to bring in a guest speaker, they may not be able to stay for the whole meeting, nor may they want to sit through your meeting. So it is perfectly okay to take this program and bump it up to right after you call your meeting to order and take care of your inspiration and all that first 5 minutes. So know that you can do that, especially if you want to make sure that you're utilizing your guest speakers wisely. People have asked in, they've had their agent come and talk, they've had game wardens and community leaders or business owners, chefs, bakers. Really, it's really kind of open. So again, your club officers can plan like what kind of program that might take place, and can do a lot of really cool things to really ramp up that meeting and make it a lot more fun. Recreation, the kids love recreation, and so they're giving them that time to whether it's play games or so I'm kind of old school. So at our 4-H meeting, the boys would go out and play football at the Farm Bureau grass lot in front of their building, and so that was cool for them, and they really enjoyed it. And then we would just kind of do whatever, and it may not have been a structured activity, but it was a time. But it also gave a time for the adults to have conversation, and for if parents were new to 4-H to kind of catch up with other parents and just kind of get a better idea of what was available for their families to be involved in. And so I know that one kind of took a long time, but I wanted you guys to see that resource, that it is available, and to kind of show you where it's at on our state website. If you go to texas4-h.tamu.edu, under our management tab, we have a lot of resources listed under here. And down here under enhancing the club experience, that's where all those things are. So we've got different PowerPoints that can be utilized, and things just kind of catch you up on different information. A ton of trainings that could always happen. There's a lot of things that could be talked about. I was putting all this stuff together, and I'm like, oh, we could go on and on, but I know that everybody has other things they need to do tonight. So like I said, I want you guys to know that there's also some games and things like that are listed on the website. All right, so icebreakers and games. Like I said, there's a couple of slides on this. You always want to make sure you have something fun and cool for them to do. This, I'll be happy to share this with you guys as well. And so I will save it and send it out to you in a PDF so that you can have these links to these different activities. All of these are on our website that you can utilize. These are from one of our curriculums that we have to do. Some of the real cool ones, like this one right here, goal setting. The other thing is right now we really kind of have to start thinking about things that they can do social distancing wise. We do have to keep that in mind as we're planning any of our events and activities and even the club meetings. But goal setting is something they can do. Give them paper. Hopefully they brought a pen or a writing utensil to their club meeting, and have them write out some goals they want to accomplish for the year in the 4-H program or in their project. And it's also a great time to just talk about goals. For those who do record books, goals is a big part at the beginning of the record book phase. So being able to kind of discuss, and think about, like, what do I want to accomplish this year? And then, they put it in an envelope, and at the end of the year, you can hand it back to them at the last meeting of the year. You can mail it back to them, and then it's always kind of cool just to see if they see that they've accomplished what they'd set out to do back in August or September. Fruit personality quiz. I can click on that one for you guys. Kind of fun that they can hand them the piece of paper, and then they can put in the number of what words relate to them. Typically a little bit for our teens, just because of the definitions of the words and whatnot. But personality tests are always kind of fun. It also kind of allows you to see, what are you working with? Like, what are your members' personalities and your volunteers' personalities as well. And then this right here is a link to just all kinds of icebreakers that I pulled up, focusing on social distancing, of course, but a lot of different things that you could do to look at and just get some really cool ideas. One that I did the other day with council earlier in August was with a fruit roll-up, and they were social distance. They could unwrap the fruit roll-up package, put the fruit roll-up in there, take the tape off. I didn't want them eating the tape off the back of the fruit roll-up. Put the fruit roll-up in their mouth, and they had to eat it without using their hands. And so that was just kind of fun. They had a blast. It also kind of gave them a little snack as well. And so little fun things here and there for the kids to focus on or just have fun with. So any questions yet? All right. So we'll go on youth protection standards. Just kind of, some key things here. So you guys, as our volunteers, our direct volunteers who work with our clubs, work with our kids, must be enrolled in our 4-H Connect system and stream. And I'm going to stop there and say, no, tonight I'm not doing a training on 4-H Connect. Yes, it is new. It is the 2.0 version. I do realize there are some struggles out there. And for someone who's been in over 17 years, I'm like, it's okay that it hasn't looked the same as it has since 2005. It'll be okay. So I get it. For those of you who've been in a long time, the change with Connect is it can be a struggle, but we are all learning it together. But if you have questions, ask your agents, ask the support staff, and then, but a lot of them are coming back and asking me. So we're trying to get those questions answered, and so you guys can get screened and get the kids enrolled in the 4-H Connect. So please bear with us as we work through the little trials and tribulations of the new 2.0 system. So all of our club managers, our project activity leaders, our check signers, our fund handlers, livestock mentors, shooting sports coaches, all of these people are direct volunteers, and they've got to be screened through the through Connect. And the volunteer application process must be completed and approved before fulfilling any duties. We do rescreen, is conducted every 3 years. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that. So if you start now in September and you're screened in 2020, so you're good for 21, 22, and 22, 23. So even if you have a volunteer who comes in and is screened in January of 21, that's still part of the 2021 year. So it's still part of 2021, 22, 2021, 21, 22, and 22, 23. So it doesn't matter within the 4-H year in which they're screened. It's just that year block, and we do run September through August. So I know sometimes there is confusion on that, but just want to make sure everybody knows that is our screening process here. And so there's the annual fee of $10. That did not change. It's always been, well, over the course of years it has, but for the last several years it's been $10 a year. So it basically equals the $30 for the year. There's also 2 required trainings in Connect, and they were updated this year, so you are having to retake them in the system. And then our overnight chaperones must also be screened, and they must be 21 years of age to serve as an overnight chaperone. So my question to you is, why volunteer? So we did have a question. Does the meeting count as one of the 2 required training? No, the trainings are in Connect, and it doesn't allow you to get past the system to finish out your enrollment process. So I do. If anybody wants to speak up and say why volunteer? What is it about you that brings you to 4-H to volunteer?
Hi, this is Shan Turner, and I just wanted to say I volunteer because I care about the kids and their future, and I love working with them and their horses.
All right, thank you. Hey, Shan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well.
Thank you for tonight.
No problem. You know, there's I could talk about 4-H all the time. My husband asked me, he's like, how long are you going to be? I said, oh, I don't know. He's watching the kids. We could go all night long. And so, but, you know, that's the thing, like what Shan said, here because you love to be here for the kids. And you love to see them progress and gain skills and watching them with their projects. And that's what's really, you know, and for some, it may not be a specific project. A lot of times it's just seeing that light that finally, you know, it starts getting brighter, that they've caught on, and that they're getting it, and that they love it. You know, over the course of time, you work with so many kids that sometimes you wonder about them, and you're like, it's like, oh, are they enjoying it? Are they getting it? And you know, and for a lot of us, you know, it's that mom or dad moment of, man, they're loving it, they're doing awesome, and it's what keeps you coming back and continue to volunteer. And there's going to be bumps in the road, and but as a group and as a county, you can work through that. And the other thing is as volunteers, I want you to know, like, you can't do it alone. You've got to have the others in your club that are helping you along the way to help mold these kids and to make these things happen, because it is a lot. We do a lot. We could do something every night in 4-H, but we also know that you need your lives, and you have things that you need to do as well. And so I see that Sandra put in the text chat to work with the kids, teaching them about what 4-H has to offer. And that's right. You know, we do have a lot to offer. And that's what's so cool, because it's just different for everybody, and we all don't have to do the same thing. And so I do enjoy that. And you know, with that being said, you know, I want to thank you all for your time of giving to the kids and providing your time, because you're also providing time away from your family and from the other things. It may be time away from your job too, and other things that you also like to do. So thank you for taking that time to give back. It is valuable, and we want you to know that we appreciate you for doing that. So financial management, everybody's least favorite topic. It's probably especially mine, but this is extremely important. You know, every club is not required to have a bank account to be chartered. But if you want to do fundraisers and you're going to be handling funds, you need to have a bank account. So your bank accounts have to have an EIN attached to them. We cannot have a social security number. When you first start out, if you're a brand new club, then you don't have to have a, you know, maybe you haven't done anything with money yet, and that's fine. You can get a bank account at a later time. But getting an EIN, I do have some easy instructions that your agents can get to help guide you to obtain that EIN. And so the responsibilities of the individual 4-H organization are to maintain records of its activities, its contributions that are received, expended, distributed, and to prepare and keep on file the record of your financial transactions. Your club account, if you're starting out, and even if you already have one, please make sure that your club account does not have a county name in it. The reason for that is often a county name could be confused with another county account that's the actual county. Like let's say Brazos County. You know, if it was the Brazos County 4-H Club, depending on where the banking institution is, there may be actual Brazos County of the county, you know, accounts that are there itself. And so just got to be very cautious about that. Each account needs to have 2 signatures. And so those 2 signatures should not be from a married couple or a parent and sibling from the same household. And that also means that those 2 signature authorities that are on the account, they also need to be the ones that sign the checks when those are requested. A 4-H club or group should only have 1 bank or savings account. With that account, the club you may need to establish some sub-accounts within that one account. Each club needs a budget. You know, if you're going to do proper fiscal management, you've got to have a budget for your club to follow. And I do want to say that even though the budget is not included in our charter packet upload process, you still need a budget if you're going to be handling funds, just so you know like what's going to be coming in, and definitely what you're looking at going out there. If your club is looking at purchasing, you know, any equipment or supplies, you need to know that you're able to do that. Financial management can continue. Any cash received, there needs to be a receipt for cash that's received. You want detailed records of all money collected, you know, whether it's a check or whatever. If you're going to be, if funds have to go out, so let's say that somebody goes and buys supplies and they need to be reimbursed. There should be a check request form that the individual needs to fill out, just so it has a detailed listing of like why they bought the supplies, what it was to be used for, and then attaching their receipt to that to have that accountability of the records and to keep on file. And, you know, regardless if there's any money going out for whatever reason, there should be a check request so that there's an accountability for why a check has been written or why money went out in the first place. Reconcile the accounts. You know, now with online banking, they make it pretty easy for us, honestly. Also, the kids, to the treasurer will give their report at the monthly meeting. And this is where it's really important for the treasurer. I think a lot of times our little treasurers don't feel as important as they really are, because it's like they just give a sheet of paper and it says, we have X amount of dollars in our club. Well, the treasurer's report should really have the beginning balance of the account, what income came in, what expenses went out, and then an ending balance. And that way that can be shared with everybody, and it's transparent for everybody in the group, and so that they know what's going in and what's coming out, so everybody's on the same page. No part of the net earnings of the charter club should be for personal benefit or distributed to its members, officers, trustees, or a private person. Club should never use money from the club account or fundraisers to provide payouts to youth. So we can't pay the kids to fundraise. That is not allowed. So you can sponsor activities and events for the kids to go to. So if they're going to go to Leadership Lab and, you know, they've worked really hard in the club and y'all have the funds to help sponsor kids to go do, or in the county account to go sponsor kids to do things, that can be something that they're able to be sponsored to go and do. So that's also very important to follow that guideline. We get this next question a lot. Can we have a debit card? You can have one debit card in the club's name. We also want to make sure to not use a PIN. So it needs to be ran as a credit card instead of using a PIN for that. So no credit cards. You can get a card from the bank, but one per club. If you're in a unique situation, so this is, I'm talking to the county agents that are on, if for some reason there's multiple clubs under one account, then they could have one for each of those groups, but that would be the only reason to do that. The next question we've been getting a lot lately is, can we do an online payment service? Yes, you can. But just with everything else in our guidelines, there has got to be transparency, and you can utilize one online payment, whether that's going to be PayPal, Eventbrite, Venmo, whatever the choice is. You can utilize one to make things a little bit easier. Now, also things you need to keep in mind is that there are fees that go along with utilizing that, so you do need to account for any processing fees as you're running transactions. Continued on. I do want to remind everybody that the use and granting of the 4-H club group 501c3 status, it only applies to federal tax exemption. We are not, clubs, county groups, and clubs are not state sales tax exempt. That is a miscommunication across the state. We're working on getting that kind of squared away, but we are not state sales tax exempt at the county and club level. And a lot of times, you know, the tax you're going to pay on things, it's going to be, you know, for food or something like that, you know, snacks type stuff, and then supplies that you might have to pay tax on to get those kind of things. But please keep that in mind. There is a process you can go through and work through the comptroller's office. I'll be honest, I have not ever done that. Didn't worry about it. It was never enough tax to really make that big of a difference. Club bylaws. Read them, review them annually. Know what's in them. They're your club bylaws. A lot of times, you know, you may have just taken over the club. Maybe it was under the same club manager for 15 years. At that point, it's probably time to relook at the bylaws. They should be looked at on an annual basis to see if there's anything new that needs to be updated, or if the state came out and had any new updates as well that needed to be implemented into the bylaws. At the end of the bylaws, we do have a club disbandment clause. So upon any time the club is disbanded, there is a process that we have to go through. There's a form that needs to be filled out, and all real property, money, equipment, everything needs to be turned over to the county 4-H program. I want to show you this guide. We do have this handy dandy little guide here, our 4-H financial management guide. I have obviously summarized, because there's 10 pages here, all the things that are in there. This is a nice layout, and it's not too hard of reading. You know, it's not the easiest reading, and not the most exciting, but it does provide a lot more detail of our fiscal policies for clubs. Fundraising. We do encourage you to fundraise. Funds help add enrichment to your 4-H clubs, and a lot of times it's needed for kids to be able to go and do some of the extra things that they get to do, and that for some that's the only way they get to do that. We want you to plan to fundraise. You do need to have a bank account for monies to be deposited. We do have a few restrictions. So the amount of funds raised should correspond to the amount of the projected budget for your club. So, so you want to plan and make sure that whatever you're planning to spend, that you're going to have that, if not more, come in so that you can make sure that you don't overspend out of your account, what you budgeted for. Money raised for awards and recognition should be kept in line with property. Sorry, I did not finish that. With proper youth development principles. And so, if you're going to raise funds, and for the awards, and you brought in $25,000 for awards, that's probably a little much for awards. So think about those things as you're doing, and what are you utilizing the funds for? For some, it may be able to get some equipment or something that's needed. So. Your county extension faculty must approve your fundraising. So anytime you're going to do a fundraiser, send them your flyers, please. Make sure they see them. A lot of times it's finding grammar errors or misspellings or things that people thought they could do and then come out and say, oh, no, we can't do it that way. We can't word it that way. We want to make sure we're using the Clover and that we're using the Clover properly. That's also important because that's our brand. And people know us by our 4-H Clover. And so we want to make sure that we're utilizing it the best way possible. Another thing that people don't always understand, I guess it's a myth out there, that a 4-H club, you can have as many fundraisers as you want. However, you must keep in mind that only 2 of those fundraisers can be state tax exempt. So I know I just told you we're not state sales tax exempt. We're not, except for 2 days of the year. And so depending on how your fundraisers go, if you're doing something that lasts a week, then 2 of those days, you can go through the process of not having to pay tax on those 2 days. So there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, we can't do more than 2 fundraisers. Yes, you can. It just all comes back down to state sales tax exemption. And if you want to not worry about that, then don't worry about it. Sometimes it's not even worth it, or you didn't even have to pay tax on what you did anyway. So it may not pertain to you. Another thing out there is you can do raffles and other games of chance. They are legal methods of raising funds. Now this is where we do have a limit. You can only do 2 raffles per calendar year. So September through August, you can only do 2 if you're going to do raffles. So things on that, fundraising ideas. For those of you who have a Tractor Supply, there are the Paper Clover campaign that they do. I know everybody does not have one, so that can be a pain sometimes because it is an easy way to get some additional funds for your program. Dinner plate sales, quite a few do those. Please keep in mind food safety. As you're doing that, you may also need to know what the parameters are from your county health department if you're allowed to do that. Like a lot of times they don't allow bake sales. I don't really encourage those right now anyway, but please make sure you're following your county health protocols for anything that was involving food. Spirit nights at restaurants, those are really kind of nice. A lot of restaurants will give you a 10% kickback off of sales that happen between like 6 and 9, 6 and 10 at their restaurant. I know Chick-fil-A has done them, IHOB, Applebee's, and a lot of times they just let you set up a booth or a little table, and basically all the people have to do is put a receipt in the box at the restaurant. And it was easy money a lot of times. Now, at this time, concerning with COVID, it may not be as easy, but definitely I think it's worth contacting restaurants and fast food places to see if they're still willing to do those. As some are being allowed to have more people come in, because some will even allow you to let the receipts go through the drive-through. So check on that. Raffles, I see a lot of these guns, purses, side of meat, 50-50s, those kind of things. cow pie or chicken poop bingo, auction live or silent, sale of items, pecans, candles, candy bars. And so just remember some of these things. Pay attention to the time of year you're doing them because it's hot outside. And that heat will get to those candy bars real quick. So sometimes some people will do these like in the winter or early spring, so it's not as hot. This right here is another link to some fundraising. Actually, I copy and pasted the wrong one. I'm going to have to fix that. I mixed up my links. I will go back and fix that. But there is a link to, no, it is. That was fundraising. So a lot of different options to do some cool things. Just make sure that whatever you do is in a positive manner. And if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Just, you may get turned down, and depending on what it is, but your agents are also going to be able to help you find ways to make it work too. Like, if you can't do it this way, but let's see if we can do it this way and make it work. So, Jennifer, you asked, we can still do bake sales. I think that's going to depend on where you are. When I was in Austin for 12 years, we were not allowed. Didn't even bother doing that. And so that's why I really kind of encourage things that don't require that. A lot of I know the plate mills, they've been able to do those just because of the way they're handled. But always ask in your area and check. Your city ordinances will tell you whether or not you can do bake sales. So on a gun raffle information, I had a request to know if somebody was going to do this. Some of the things you do have to make sure there's specific information out there. If you're going to have a gun raffle, you need to make sure the purchaser, this is the information I took off someone else's ticket. I did one through 4-H. Purchaser of tickets shall be a minimum of 21 years of age. The winner will be required to pass all legally required background checks. They'll be required to make arrangements to go pick it up. So it's not like you're going to get it from the 4-H club. The best bet is to, right here, prizes will be claimed at whatever name and address of the firearms shop. So those are very important key things to know that you're that they know ahead of time, that they're going to have to go to that shop, go through the procedure of being background checked, have the screening, and that, and whatever, and working with that shop and letting them know like what the price is going to be, and what your, and there may be varying prices on different prizes on whichever week you may draw a name or whatnot. So no cash value of the prize. I have a typo there, sorry. It's why I have people proof things for you. And then the price listed as the MSRP. So you can do them. Just make sure that you cover all your bases with doing that, so that you have a good fundraiser. Social media marketing. It's okay for y'all to have Facebook pages, Instagram accounts. We just want to make sure that you can make a page for your 4-H club. Do not use a personal account for club use. Do utilize the name of the 4-H club. Have at least 2 administrators on the account. For one, it's a lot for one person to keep up with, honestly. But you can even give the kid, one of the team leaders, if you have a public relations officer, you can give them rights if they have Facebook or whatever to add things. We do allow our council to add to it. I don't allow them to respond to comments, so those should be coming from one of us when people who send messages on there. So, but give them a little more freedom to do those kind of things, to add to their list of responsibilities. Do respect copyrights of any content that you're putting out there. Maintain a professional communication style. Remember, this is a youth organization. Be sure to check grammar, spelling, tone. I need to do that in my PowerPoints, obviously. Check my spelling. Don't engage in profane or inappropriate comments. Please delete or hide those without commenting. Hopefully you're not getting them, but sometimes you never know. People can get access to your page without you knowing it and start posting inappropriate things. Make certain that families are okay with you posting pictures of their kids. When they do sign up for Connect, they have the option to select that they agree to have photos and media, or they don't. Your agent can help you pull that report, or you can just even ask the families yourself. You can also make the page private to your group as well. Set page settings that administrators must approve posts. That's also important. Just know this is a great tool to showcase all the awesome things that are happening, but it should also always be monitored. And there's lots of different things, but I'd kind of stick to what most everybody's using, pretty much Instagram and Facebook. I don't know if people are tweeting as much anymore, but I know Facebook and Instagram are probably the two most utilized things. I know the kids use Snapchat and TikTok. I do not have either, so I do not know how they work. But I would stick to the main two. I did want to provide you guys some COVID-19 updates. So our group meetings may be at a 50% capacity of space or fewer people, only if social distancing can be practiced, with the limited capacity of 50 people. So if there's more than 50 people that are going to be at a meeting or an event, then you need to work with your agent and get a preparedness plan that must be submitted to your agent, and they'll work through that process with you. If a local health authority or county commissioner's court implements a mandate that is stricter than that, so right now I know for certain it is Harris and Fort Bend counties that they have a stricter policy than we do, that one has to be followed. Mask and face coverings must be worn by individuals per the governor's order, GA 29. Tables and chairs should be sanitized before and after meeting and at breaks. On food and snacks, make sure they're prepackaged. We also are encouraging virtual meetings, and we do have a document. This is on our state webpage, but it's kind of hidden between the other things that are on there. But I'm not going to lie, it's about 8 pages. But it goes through different things on utilizing social media for your meetings, setting things up, doing recordings, all that good stuff. So if you can't find it there and you need help, and your agents are able to help you, I'm able to help you too. I do want you to go to your agents first, and ask them, and they're all really good about coming around and then asking me if they're not able to find exactly what they're looking for. So I just wanted to make sure you guys had that, as it is one of our policies that stems down from AgriLife. Some general 4-H highlights and reminders. Youth must be active in 4-H Connect prior to attending any contests, events. Volunteer leaders must be active in 4-H Connect to lead projects and to lead clubs. It's important to recognize youth, volunteers, supporters in your clubs and your groups. If you were not aware, April is volunteer month, and there is a week that's dedicated. It's National Volunteer Week. It's I think the third week is when it falls in April. So it's a great way to youth are volunteers too, and your other volunteers. So take advantage. There's also another cool thing that you can always go back and look and see like what happens in certain months. Like September is National Preparedness Month, and not that there's only one thing in each month, but there's a few things that stand out, and you can do things in your clubs according to those months. In September, y'all could talk about having preparedness plans, and knowing like how are you going to get out of your house. Our district, and along with 11 and District 5, unfortunately, we're very much what's the word I'm looking for? We see the need for disaster plans and emergency plans way too often, a lot of times more than the rest of the state. And so it's always good to know that everybody kind of has a plan of what's going to happen, or how can you help when those things do happen. I know we've got clubs right now that are wanting to do things to help with recovery in Louisiana and other parts of Texas. So those things can be done, and volunteer in April, working with other volunteers within the community, writing thank you notes. That is a key thing. We cannot let thank you notes go to the wayside. Kids have got to learn. They need to learn how to dress an envelope too. So key things there that y'all can always come up with something new to do in your club meetings. Communication is key. Talk with your agents. they are your first resource. Talk with other club managers. A lot of times, some counties will go ahead and produce a list of other clubs in the county and know who their contact is. And it's okay for y'all to work together. You may want to work together on a community service project. I'd say work together on fundraisers. Then you got to go through the logistics of where the money goes and this and that. So community service projects are a great way to work together. And asking your agent, who are the other club managers? I know it's easier when we're in person. When we get into virtual, it is a little more challenging at times, just because video will buffer down our connections, and not everybody has the best connection sometimes, depending on where you're located or if you're out of data for the month. And so, but work with them. Figure out, how can we get in contact with our other people, and sometimes it may just, having a call just to kind of see where other people are and what they're doing with their clubs, and getting ideas. Trying to following them on their social media pages is also a great way to get ideas from them as well. And when we do get back to where we're able to have more in-person meetings with larger numbers, I do encourage people to, to talk with each other and share ideas and see what's going on and see how you can work together. As we've talked about before, variety of project and opportunities. Not every kid wants or can show an animal or wants to learn how to sew. We have a variety of options for all, and that's what makes our program really awesome. Again, 4-H clubs are not state sales tax exempt. Club charters do need to be completed. I didn't get into club charters tonight. We can if anybody has any questions, but I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on the charter process, but I don't mind answering questions about it. Just to, I know we get this question as we're starting to gear up for activities and events. So eligibility, your county offices do handle the eligibility with, each county office has a different process, kind of how letters go out and how they're handled, but that you'll need to work within your county, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And all of our registered youth and volunteers, when you are registered and approved in Connect, you do fall under our Texas 4-H insurance policies. We have a general liability policy, and we have an accident and medical policy. It's a limited policy. So a lot of times we get questions on that. A venue, say a lot of times if you're using a church or a school, so if you're able to use a building that's a public building, then they're allowing you to come in right now, they may want to see they may want you to have a liability policy. You have one. We do, it is a request. You need to work with your agent, and then they'll work with me to go about getting the request, but we need to know what they're asking for, because if they're asking to be added as an additional insured, that's not going to happen. Like I said, it's a general liability policy, and as long as they're just asking to see it, to know that the club has it, then we do have that for you to supply the group that's asking for it. The accident medical policy, like I said, it is for approved volunteers and 4-H members, and it serves as a secondary to the primary insurance, and it's basically through American Income Life. So if you're having an event, so let's say that you're doing a fundraiser or you're doing a prospect show or whatever, and you have people that are outside of 4-H. So if FFA kids are coming, anybody else in the community is just kind of open, you'll want to take out an additional policy. It's very economical. It's a 20 cents per person for the day, and I think I took one out for 250 people additional at an event this summer, and it's like $40 or something. And so, or maybe it was, they changed my numbers, but it was, it's really anywhere, it's very minimal, 20, 40, 60 bucks, for an insurance policy. If someone, and that's for if someone, maybe they tripped over something and sprained their ankle, hurt their knee, or whatever may have happened. And so it's always a good thing you're to utilize that when you're having additional events and activities. So on resources, we have county extension agent, your county office. Please do contact them. Your club managers and project leaders, within your clubs. Those are resources to you. Other ones in the county. Parents are a great resource. And I know a lot of times they may be timid about stepping up to help, but you know, ask them. You know, you don't know until you ask if they're willing to help and willing to do something. So be sure to kind of ask them. And this website right here, the Texas 4-H website, lots of great information. We get into things on pages for projects. For those of you, any of our shooting sports people on here, I know we get this question a lot. Going to go down. We always get asked, when are the trainings? There is a quick training calendar right here, a quick reference schedule of trainings and activities. It'll come up on a Google Doc. So it's a working document so that it can be adjusted anytime there are changes to the calendar. So this will say when our trainings are. And you gotta scroll down to get. Apparently he still needs to update the vision, I guess. So, but that usually is already updated and ready to go for you guys. But that is the same website is a great resource to utilize, to find, see what you can utilize for your clubs, and learn more about projects, learn more about opportunities. Volunteering, recognizing any of our curriculums. If you're looking for things to do within your clubs, we have these Explore guides here that are real easy guides to utilize within clubs. Real simple with some activities, at least usually 5 to 6 experiences within each of these little guides to utilize. And there's more that are in the works as time goes on. So honestly, that's all I have, unless y'all have any additional questions to ask. You can put in text chat. You can email me. I do have, let me see if I can get to it right quick. I don't want to off. You know, if you did participate, I'm trying to find my form. If you're on here, I was going to put in a link for you to go in and say that you did participate. One, so I can send you an evaluation. We'd like to evaluate everything that we do. And also I can send you guys the presentation, so you'll have the resources to go back and look. I know it's kind of fast and furious, but you know, everybody did jump on like at 6 after getting off work and taking care of everything else and getting done. I know you have a lot to do. And so I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time, but I definitely want to answer any questions. How to make Zoom meetings fun. So some of the things that people like to do, there's a thing called Kahoot. Jerry may want to speak up on that. I think she's used it way more.
Yeah, I can talk about Kahoot. It's a really fun game for the kids to play, kind of like a game show type. And I can put my email in the chat if anybody wants to email me any questions about it, but it's free. You can log in and ask questions. Some fun stuff maybe about your county or your club and about 4-H, and just some random easy questions that it'll make it fun for the kids. They do it in school, and it's a lot of fun for even adults. It gets really competitive.
Thank you, Jerry. I know there's a lot of times you can go and find Jeopardy game boards, electronic Jeopardy game boards to utilize there, and add those in where kids can play. And that's why you'll get the link on the socially distanced activities. I'll go ahead and move that one back over to see how they can, how they can do things. Depending on what people are utilizing, whether they're utilizing Teams or Zoom. In Teams, there are some things that can be utilized. We have a thing called Poly, so it's kind of like Kahoot, and so I'm learning how to go back and use my double monitors, honestly. and you can just ask questions and poll everybody. And that can be fun sometimes, but like Kahoot's a little bit more because it's more interactive for the kids. And so there's that. Letting them speak. I know that, because I don't know, they may get bored with that now that they're that a lot of them may be doing it for schoolwork, and that kind of takes out a lot of the fun for the 4-H meetings, honestly, if they have to do it all day. But here's some things like a 30-second dance party, could potentially do maybe some name that tune during the Zoom meeting. Doing favorite memes, might need to watch that a little bit. That might get out of hand, but that could be an option to do. A joke break, that might be kind of fun for the kids. I saw this earlier and I was like, oh, collages. That'd be kind of cool for the kids to put together a little collage of their photos to share. That might be kind of fun. A scavenger hunt. Okay, Sandra put in, that's true. Scavenger hunt, they can do that. So hopefully, Michelle, hopefully that kind of answered your question a little bit to kind of help with adding in a little bit more fun to a Zoom meeting. Show and tell, this might be great for some of the younger members, if you have younger clubs. And we know ultimately they want to, they want to meet in person. They want to see each other and see their friends. And but if Zoom's the best way that we can do it right now, we do need to make it a little bit more exciting for them and a little bit more fun. And that's where, you guys, a lot of times, I've got something I'm also going to post our district website that I've had the council kids ask as well, or can contribute so that we could do. Some of them were more social distance wise, but maybe they could also be turned into a virtual one as well. Do we have any other questions? Anything else you need help, guidance on? This doesn't mean this has to be the only one that we do. Like I said, as I was putting it together, there's so much that could go into it. We could go on, and then sometimes some of the topics kind of need their own time frame, just because they take a little bit more time, and we could go in a little bit more in depth on what to do on certain topics. So if there aren't any other questions, again, I do appreciate you getting on and spending time with us and participating. And hopefully it was beneficial, and that hopefully you learned something new or got a refresher on something. Big question, is Texas 4-H still planning competitions in the spring? At the moment, we are. I will say that we now look at the possibility of what is our virtual option behind that. We were fortunate, we were able to host our district horse show this summer. So that was a big plus for us. And the state horse show was also conducted. So some things that still, kind of got to happen with restrictions. Right now, only time can tell with what we're allowed to do. We just know that we're following our policy and protocol that we're provided, and doing the best that we can. If you haven't seen it, we are doing. We have a little bit more information that'll be coming out this week. We are going to have our fall council meeting. So in District 9, to participate, to be eligible to run for a district officer, you have to attend the fall or winter council meeting. And so we will do that September the 19th. We're going to be at the Walker County Fairgrounds. And we did put a save the date out on social media last week and a half ago, that we would be September the 19th. We're going to do a training that day as well. We're going to be in person at the fairgrounds. We are having to adjust things a little bit, just because we're finding it harder and harder to get into some venues, just because of policies, and then having to disinfect and not allow to let outsiders in. So we are struggling with that a little bit, but we're going to be there, and we have the agenda coming out of the topics that we're going to provide on the training for, and it will be a registration on Connect. We'll take it also a registration on site as well with credit cards. So that's the plan to do that. So be looking for that, so that like I said, we're trying to get things back into the way that we were running and functioning. So thank you for asking that, Michelle. The link there again for to fill out the kind of the sign-in sheet, the virtual sign-in sheet, if you participated tonight. So I'll stay on till everybody kind of jumps off. So if anybody still has any questions they want to ask at the end, I'll mute my mic, and then you can ask. And so thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I look forward to working with everybody as we move throughout the year.
I have a question. You did say that you were going to send us your slides, correct?
Yes. If you're able to go to that link and just put your name and email in again, that way I know who was here. I'll send that out to you guys.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Probably won't be till tomorrow, but
No, I understand. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Corey. I'm gonna head out.
Welcome, Sherry. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are all 4-H groups and projects separated out by grade level, or are some of them separated out by age?
Can you give me an example?
Well, shooting sports. And I've asked this question before, but I've gotten nowhere when I've asked it. But shooting sports is broken up into 4 age groups, right? And into 4 divisions. Junior is 3rd through 5th grade. Intermediate is 6th through 8th grade. Senior 1 is 9th and 10th grade. Senior 2 is 11th and 12th grade. But at times, you may have a 5th grader, like normal 5th graders or 3rd through 5th graders are 8 through 11 years old. But if some point in their elementary school career, they were held back for some reason. Potentially not because they failed, because that would have eliminated their eligibility to participate in 4-H, but maybe in 2nd grade they were held back for some reason, which was prior to them joining 4-H. So they are 12 years old, 12 and a half years old, and still in 5th grade, which most 12-year-olds are already in 6th grade or 7th grade.
Okay.
There's a distinct advantage for that 12 and a half year old over the 11-year-old that are also in the same grades. Do you follow me?